Hey, Paul Getter, the internet marketing nerd here. I'm here with my man, Jaysse Lopez. He's out in Las Vegas. This man is doing incredible stuff. First of all, he has a YouTube channel, just incredible, good stuff. And he is one of these professional sneaker flippers and just doing awesome stuff. Jaysse, it is a pleasure to have you here today. Tell people a little bit more about yourself.
Well, first off, honored and humbled that, you even reached out or are looking my way, man. It means a lot. Long story short, I came from Jersey a couple years ago. It's been a little bit now, but my first 6 months in Vegas, I was actually homeless. Wow. Here in I used to panhandle and went from panhandling to selling water to eventually meeting some guys where I would stand in line for shoes, and that kind of helped me get off the streets, right?
You told me that you were going through a mall and you saw a line of guys outside of the shoe store.
And I was like, just
why are these guys standing in line at the shoe store? Yeah.
And these guys are just telling me like, hey, look, this is gonna resell for more than what it's initially worth. And they could either A, not justify the expense, so they're putting in the work to get it, or B, they understand it resells and they wanna make some money on the side. So it was worth putting in the effort. So I start seeing these guys, in trying to stay out of the heat from time to time, standing at stores or walking around sneaker stores. And it really kind of got me curious. Mm-hmm. Between those three little hustles of panhandling, selling water, and standing in line for shoes for guys, I eventually wind up getting off the street and staying at weeklies here in town and clean myself up, start job hopping a little bit. And I landed a job that I was doing okay at, but I winded up getting sick and winded up losing that job while I was after I came back from FMLA. So I wind up meeting this girl who's now my wife, and 2 weeks into dating, I'm evicted out of my apartment, car repoed. I'm living with her and her parents, right? So it was very awkward. She's, asking me, Jay, what are you gonna wind up doing? Like, you gotta do something. And, I applied for jobs left and right. I think I put in over 100 applications at that time for jobs that I was either overqualified or underqualified for. And I know that like I mentioned earlier, all the tattoos and stuff doesn't necessarily make me the most ideal candidate in an industry here where almost everything is, hotels and casinos.
Sure.
So I told her I think I could give reselling sneakers a try, and that maybe that'll hold me over till I find something. From the beginning, sneakers took a life of its own. My wife and I own a brand called Urban Necessities that's been around.
That. Cool stuff.
Yeah, so it's a play on the United Nations, and it's like all walks of life, right? It takes all walks of life to make it work. And it's also a play on what you think those urban necessities are, right? So it's sneakers, it's clothing, it's music, it's everything. So to kind of skip, not to bore you with the entire story, but 5.5 years ago, I winded up opening a store in the Boulevard Mall, which is the first mall here in Vegas. It opened in 1968, but over the years, it's become like the worst mall in the city. But I saw a lot of value in the place because it's about a 5-minute drive from the Strip. So I figured if I could make it valuable or enticing enough to our guests that at some point, someone would be willing to take the trip to our store.
Right.
Vegas is a very tourist-driven city.
Absolutely.
And I've always understood that sneaker enthusiasts are going to wind up going out of their way to find that one shoe or item that you don't see every day. So I opened in this mall, in a hallway that had been closed for 5 years, in a store that had been closed for 7 years. And my first 6 months in business, I didn't even have any neighbors. To kind of give you an idea of how raggedy this mall was, is how an average mall, you walk in, they turn the lights on in the evening.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the only store in this hallway. They wouldn't even turn the lights on at night.
You were in a mall with no lights.
Right, pretty much. My first plus year, I didn't have a website, so we would offer FaceTime appointments.
Okay.
And the way that I kind of built the brand was I would keep adding myself to sneaker reselling groups on Facebook and working through Instagram. And I had this like really long spiel. Hey, my name's Jay. I own this sneaker shop. Our consignment rate's the lowest in the country. You know, if you want to call in and set up a FaceTime appointment, we'll show you everything that we got in your size. And I remember, you know, there were guys like, hey, I'm a size 10, and I'd have like 8 pairs of shoes that were size 10, but we showed them to them. And then we started getting guests from outside the country or, you know, out of state. And when I opened the store, there was no Uber. And we would have guests that would say, hey man, I paid $40 to come down here from MGM, or I paid $50 to come down here from, you know, the other side of the strip. And we kind of felt bad because, you know, all these people are putting in this time, energy, effort into the brand, paying attention to what we're doing. And then they're going out on a limb, hoping that there's something there in their size. And it's not a guarantee, right? So we bought a car and we would start picking up our guests.
You're chauffeuring people to the store now. Yeah.
So if you were coming from the strip, we'd pick you up and take you back. The day I signed the lease to this store, I had $40 to my name.
Wow.
And I remember telling my wife, you know, I don't know how we're gonna pull this off. I don't know how we're gonna do this, but if you give me 5 years of time, energy, and effort towards this, I will get everything and anything that you need, want, deserve. And her, myself, and a buddy of mine that helped open the store, we all wrote down 5 things we wanted in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was like silly stuff. It's like sneakers. It's, you know, my wife wanted a particular handbag. She wanted a particular set of earrings. You know, my buddy was like a certain dollar amount, sneakers, a place to stay, a certain car. For me, it was like Bentley. Like,
Good for you. Good for you.
A particular watch, and obviously some sneakers. And you know, for all of them, I've been able to help, or we've been able to help each other acquire all those things that were on that initial list the day we opened the store. The day that we opened the store, like I said, I had $40 to my name, and that was September 17, 2014. By December 31st, we did $1 million in sales.
Wow.
So
man, this is incredible. You were in Vegas and you were homeless.
yeah,
To now you've got a multi-million-dollar business.
yeah.
It's huge. You're the go-to spot for sneakers in Vegas.
It's starting to be that, right? We've relocated, and now fast forward, you know, as the business grows. So we opened again 2014, we did $1 million. 15 we did 4. 16 we did 8. 17 we did 12. 18 we did 18, and last year we did 21. Last year we kicked off a relationship with American Eagle.
Okay.
So American Eagle is kind of like our big brother that's helping us kind of speed things up. And I now have a store in Fashion Show Mall, which is now a top 10 mall in the United States. I've been there for 3 years, previous to the relationship with American Eagle. And that's the same mall I used to panhandle at.
I am
kind of trippy, right? Because there's even like security guards that like still work there from when I panhandled. That like once in a while, I've been like, man, I've seen you before. Where do I know you from? Right? And you know, I also have a store inside an American Eagle in New York in Soho. But you know, I've been very fortunate that a lot of people have allowed the brand to grow the way that it has. I'm really thankful for that. Like I can't.
Yeah. Bro, I tell you what, I am shocked. You are, what you have just shared with us right now is worth the entire call. I mean, it really is such an amazing, testimony of you know, I personally, I have faith. I believe that God kind of orders our steps, and what an inspiration that.
I've been put through certain things, some a lot obviously self-inflicted, to humble me and to prepare me for this opportunity, right? And as we've grown the brand, I've tried to use it for positive the whole way through. We've done shoe drives, toy drives, canned good drives. We helped a guy get a heart transplant. I can't tell you how many fundraisers we've done to pay for funerals here in the city. You know, at the moment, we're doing a raffle on a Kobe where all the proceeds are being donated. We've raised like $1,500 in like 2 days for it. So it's really cool to see that you make this suggestion that in your heart, you're like, I think this is the right thing to do. And so many people are like supporting it and giving you that cosign, you know, it's wild, man. It really is.
I mean, just couldn't get a job at, you're homeless, couldn't get a job. And now I bet you probably look back at it like, you know what? I'm glad I didn't get a job there.
No, I mean, definitely. You know what? There's so many, the world just, the way that it works, it's like really, you don't really understand stuff that happens when it happens, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a person of faith, you understand that if one door is closed, you're being asked to go through, you know, this like hallway where you might see some light, but you don't know what's there. The biggest problem with becoming an entrepreneur is the fear of the failure, and at that particular time. And although yes, some of your failures, which trust me, I've had my fair share, they seem like the end of the world at times, but they're the biggest and best lessons that you could possibly have throughout your whole process. You just have to understand that when you decide on what you want your craft to be, you just have to dedicate time, energy, and effort to it. And when we're looking at our respective crafts that we have a passion for, say, hey, I think I could do this. Well, you know, I try to do some of what you're doing, right? But you've probably been in your craft for how long? 20 plus?
Yeah.
Right? You know, I look at athletes like, you know, obviously the names that come to mind, the LeBrons, the Currys, the Jordans of the industry in basketball. Like Steph Curry probably takes 1,000 shots per practice, and he's probably practicing 2 or 3 times to make it look as easy as he does. And a lot of us just get turned off at the second that there's a hardship or a bottleneck. And I think that all these lumps that I took throughout my process have really just allowed me to learn how to embrace and accept those hardships and then acknowledge it, but not focus on it.
Yeah.
Like I'll acknowledge a problem. I have to, but my energy is only for the solution. And when I've taken that outlook, I'll tell you, man, it really feels like we've been able to move mountains over the years, because there's so many things that my wife and I have been able to do with this brand that I didn't sign up for or even think was, if you would have told me 7 years ago, hey, you're American Eagle's your business partner. Or if you would have told me 10 years ago, hey, we're on Forbes. Or if you would have told me 15 years ago, hey, Jay, you're driving a Bentley that they only made X amount of.
You were homeless.
Right.
You were paying. You were the guy at the corner holding the sign, you know, chain.
Sneaking into hotels to try to shower an EDR, like employee. Like I allowed myself to get there because I lacked respect for a lot of things. I cheated the process a lot with a lot of things. Luckily, I didn't fall into the stereotypical stuff that happens with some homeless people.
Sure.
But I wanted to fight my own way out of it. You know, could I have called my family? Yeah. I didn't want to let them know what I was going through.
Yeah.
I wasn't their problem.
Incredible.
It's been a very wild ride.
Yeah, incredible. Well, first of all, I am just like amazed, and I'm honored to talk to someone that has what an amazing, incredible story. So you have taken sneaker flipping to a brand, a business, a store, multiple stores, and doing huge things. Now, a lot of people, when it comes to sneaker flipping, it's like a side hustle. It's, you know, a lot of guys do it, and maybe in the hopes of someday getting to your level. But obviously, it started out the same way for you. That was like,
yeah,
maybe I can make some money flipping sneakers. How does someone get started into sneaker flipping? What's the process? How does that work?
I mean, great questions, right? Although people are gonna look at what I'm doing and be like, oh man, there's no way I could get to that, right? I started with one shoe. And when I started with that one shoe, I had no idea. I just went on a hunch. I think people are gonna want this one, right? Now it's very different from when I started. Evolution is a real beautiful thing, right? When I was selling, there was no real way to pull analytics and say, this is gonna be,
right,
this one holds its value. You know, when I started buying shoes, there was a lot of them I stood overnight or a couple days or like went to every sneaker store and yeah, this one's gonna be worth something, and I wind up having to sell it for less than what I paid for it.
Oh, wow.
Right? For what I would suggest for the person that's aspiring to try to do this as a side hustle, you got to ask yourself why first, right? Why do you want to sell sneakers? Is it because you want the sneakers to pay for the sneaker that you want, or do you want to do this because you could actually cover a demand in your community that maybe expands to something bigger? Like I got all realms, right? We have almost 25,000 consigners that send in 500 to 700 items a day on consignment.
Wow.
Per store, per day.
Wow.
So I would always suggest to people that are trying to resell, team up with a consignment shop, right? Because like an example, with us, we're able to provide you analytics and say, hey, these are the top 100 variants that are selling at Urban Necessities, and these are the sizes that we have 2 or less of, right? Now, what that does is it allows you to say, okay, I know that I have to buy this shoe because this works, and we're gonna give you a suggested listed price as to what you should buy it at, right? So if you're able to get it at that or less, then we could sell it for this or more, right? So then you understand what your margin is. And with sneakers, it's not really a margin game, it's a volume game, right? Because now everyone's like undercutting and speed, and you have all these like online platforms that are doing an amazing job of kind of explaining to guests like what market is and what sizes are selling and what's relevant and what isn't. And adding yourself to Facebook groups is a good one. Going to trade shows like SneakerCon, which I've been going to SneakerCon, which is basically a convention with private sellers, vendors, resellers, and this happens all over the world, right? I haven't missed one in over 5 years.
Wow.
Last year I was on 125 flights for the year.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm actually on a flight later today going to New York, then London for sneakers related stuff. But it's just you know, this reselling thing, you just really have to sign up to outwork people, and your presentation has to be a lot better than the next guy. Okay. When I first started reselling, and guys were selling on groups, they would just take a picture, no thoughtfulness in what you're showcasing, right? It's just a shoe, it's like the dark room, it's thrown on a bed, like, you know, where my wife and I were like, man, we kind of got it. If we clean this up, we might be able to stand out a little bit, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I remember when we started, we would take pictures with like construction paper, holding a lamp, and now obviously it's very different. We're using a light box, and there's editing involved and all that other stuff. Watermarks, which you have to watermark your stuff, because if your consumer has no way to tie it back to you, who's to say that you have
business? Yeah.
So there's a lot. I mean, it could go endless and endless, but I think the easiest way to get into reselling for sneakers is teaming up with stores that could provide you that data using your credit. When I first got into it, you know, I'm Hispanic. I grew up in you know, a very poor city in Jersey, and the way I was raised is if you don't have cash to pay for it,
right,
don't buy it. And that is still true with everything, but I didn't understand the value of using my credit to build my credit and to build the ability that the business has to buy product on credit, right? And I learned it from one of my youngest consigners. I had a conversation with this kid who's doing like 6 figures in sales in my store.
Wow.
Right? While still in high school. And I'm like, man, I gotta ask, where the heck are you getting all this money? Right? And he's like, well, you know, I asked my dad to buy me a pair of shoes and I told him I could sell it. And I told him that they would probably go for a good amount of money. And I sold them for a decent amount of money. And then I asked him for more money. I kept asking him for more money. And at some point, the dad allowed him to have a credit card. And they set restrictions on the credit card for him to be able to buy. So he then started buying on sneaker groups, buying on online platforms, having like PayPal invoices sent to him from private sellers, which is like a must. You have to, invoice is the only way to protect yourself in this world with reselling. And then he started like perusing my website, figuring out so he was doing all the analytics before I was even providing them to people.
Wow.
And it started with like a $2,500 credit, which is now like close to 6 figures for him, right? And he's just like, you know, the kid started with 2 or 3 pairs. Now he's sending me like 300-400 at a time. It's not only sneakers, it's clothes. And he's built all these great relationships with either people that are very locked in or brands that are willing to kind of conduct business in not the most honest of ways. And what I mean by that is, let's say an item is about to release, they understand that there's an added value to that. So to cover overhead, because they don't get all the cool stuff all the time, they'll be willing to sell for a premium to trusted people that they know won't yap about it.
Yeah, I see.
It's a crazy world, but then I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this kid's got it figured out. And I have all these credit cards just sitting here that I'm like terrified to use. Right? And now I'm consigning and pulling these reports and like making this side money that's covering all these flights and hotels that I have to, traveling the way I do, not that I'm like flying first class, because I'm really not, I'm still coach all the way pretty much everywhere I go, but hotels are expensive in New York and London and China and everywhere. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's helped me cover the cost. It's helped me grow my brand. It's allowed me to get opportunities like speaking at UNC and Duke, and it's through reselling. Yeah,
incredible. So basically, someone wanting to get started into sneaker flipping, one of the best options is to find a shop like you and get the intel, find out what are the demands. Otherwise, it's kind of like a gamble. It's like,
right. It definitely is. And then there's too much energy and effort. I don't think there's anything wrong with, standing in front of a line or going around the city and putting in raffle tickets to maybe hit, but it's very small potatoes. Like
it's hard to scale that way.
Extremely hard to scale that way. But if a store could say, hey, this is a top 100 selling item, and we're selling, let's say, 1,500 of that variant, regardless of size, in a single month, and you could make $30 to $100 based off of when you get them in there and how you stagger your pricing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And
then it's a matter, you can get a bunch of these shoes, you can get bulk, and you're not necessarily waiting in line.
Right, yeah, you're just picking them up. Like, let's say you go on StockX, right? Okay. You mentioned to me that you were gifted a pair of Yeezys, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're probably like a size anywhere between a 9.5 to a 10.5, which are more some of.
I'll let you see. That's 11.5 right there, bro.
Okay, so 11.5. So for the sake of conversation, right? I'll wind up going on a site. I'm going on StockX.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is a shoe that just released last weekend. It's called the Yashaya. An 11 and a half is $263. I don't know if you could kind of
Yeah, I can see that.
So an example, you purchase this shoe, you're gonna wind up paying the $263 plus the shipping. So you're looking at about round up to $280, right? But by the time you receive that shoe at $280, you're looking at probably a week to two till it gets to you.
Okay.
So in that week or two of transit, it should go up $5 to $15. So now let's just round up again and say it's worth $290.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So my store, because we have the item now in hand, we're probably gonna wind up selling it at $320 to $330.
Okay.
So it's not a massive profit.
But you're making $20, $30.
$20, $30. But if you have a credit card, let's just say you invest $5,000 into it, and these are shoes that I'm probably gonna wind up selling for you in a week or less, and that following week you get that check, well, okay, skim your profit to the side, pay off your credit card, and go do it again.
Yeah.
And
if you can bring 20 pairs, it's $400, $500 you're making.
Right. And that's the goal, is that you want to try, at least the way that I'm setting it for myself is whatever I spent this month, I want to spend double next month.
Okay.
And just keep doubling it and doubling it and doubling it. Like I started consigning with one. And I think I have about 1,500 items consigned at the moment at Urban Necessities.
How many shoes do you have now?
The store. So I started with nothing. When the day that we opened the store, we started with 134 pairs. And out of those 134 pairs, 18 were brand new and everything else was pretty dusty. We have in our New York at our Vegas location, we have 8,400 and like 20 some odd shoes. And
wow.
I only know the exact number because we did an inventory count yesterday.
Okay.
There's 2,300 variants on a wall that I have, and then another 300 in like our top shelf case. Our New York store has maybe 1/4 of that because it is a much smaller location. It's a pop-up.
Okay. Okay. What's the most valuable shoe that you've
sold?
Yeah.
Nike auto lacing mag from 2016. So it was the Back to the Future shoes, the ones that actually have the rotors that expand and retract the laces.
Yeah.
We had two. So last year, so American Eagle gives me $1 million.
What?
Yeah, they give me $1 million beginning of last year to buy the inventory for the store.
Okay.
And in a 2-week span, I went from Florida to Vegas, Vegas to San Fran, San Fran to LA, back to Vegas, then to New York. I bought 1,547 pairs with $1 million.
Wow.
And this auto lacing mag, I bought one at 25,000.
Okay.
And then the second one I actually got consigned, and we listed it at 50,000. Now, when I brought these two shoes to American Eagle, the day before, they see the report. The day before the store opens, they're pulling me aside and they're saying,
"What did you buy?
Why did you buy? This was not a good investment. We don't think that this is gonna wind up selling in this store. Like it might work for you in Vegas, but it's definitely not gonna work." Like I got the mom and dad like talking like, "Son, you got to figure out better ways to spend money." The shoes sold in less than 2 weeks, both of them.
And how much did you sell them for?
50 grand a piece.
So you bought them for 25. Sold
I bought one for 25, and then one was consigned. But we've had, I can show you. We have transactions that are 70, 80 grand now, right? We have guests that wind up all walks of life. Yeah, that's the one. Those are the landmarks, right?
I don't know what they
What
are.
color is it? It's kind of hard to. Is it white or is
White.
it? Yeah, those are the statics. That's a good one.
How much are these worth?
You're an 11 and a half.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I want you to meet him.
We would probably sell them for like 450.
400. Are you kidding me?
That's like a little over double retail.
Okay, so he told me, he's like, you don't wear those jogging. Now I know why we don't wear this. This is my son Marcus.
Pleasure to meet you, Marcus. Jayce.
Jayse Lopez. How long ago was it that you were homeless?
It's been a while. It's been like
Went from homeless. Now he's got two of the most well-known. Tell me the stats as far as what your store's done in revenue in the past 4 or 5 years.
Year one, $1 million. First 3 months, $1 million, because we opened at the end of like mid-September 2014. 15 we did 4, 16 we did 8, 17 we did 12, 18 we did 18. Last year we almost did 21.
That's incredible. From homeless to $21 million. That is amazing. I wanted my son to meet you because I think you are a tremendous inspiration.
Thank you.
Stuff. And now I understand why I don't wear $450. So I've got dress shoes that are not that expensive.
You know, it's like for the longest you would think like when you go into a business meeting or you want to go out to eat somewhere fancy, you had to wear like dress shoes, right?
Yeah.
I've always been a wingtip guy myself, and suspenders. Bow ties, I love bow ties. Even though I know now it's all about dressing down and wearing those sneakers, and sometimes the sneakers are worth more than, you know,
more
some
than all
of the
the
cars
fancy
I've
clothes.
had at that point. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, incredible. Well, hey man, you again, you are an incredible inspiration, and appreciate what you're doing. And thanks, buddy. So I always end with a series of just random fun questions, and there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. It's just questions. So all right, here we go. You ready?
Yep, fire away.
Okay, if you were building your Avengers team, what 2 superheroes would you choose?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Iron Man.
Iron Man. You see, I got Iron Man back here. My Iron Man helmet.
Definitely Iron Man, because it wasn't what he could do. It's just his willingness to take everything on all the time.
Yeah.
Then I don't know, probably Spidey.
Oh, okay, yeah. What? It's because I'm wearing the Spider-Man jacket. You had to say so.
But same thing. You got a kid that's filled with fear, doesn't know how to doesn't know his right from wrong, but he just knows that morally he's got to do this, right?
Yeah.
It's more about the morals with it, not so much the superhero stuff for me.
That's cool. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Time travel.
Time travel.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like it. I like you know
I
what?
can finally cheat the system a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So it's funny because on my list of questions, I have this question among one of them, and it says, if you could go back in time, where would you go and what would you do?
Man, there's so many places I would
It's a
want
good
to be,
question,
right?
isn't it? Yeah.
Great question. I'd love to, obviously some of our country's forefathers be the fly on the wall and hear some of those conversations, right? Like hear banter. I've always appreciated stuff like that. I was a big Steve Jobs fan. Right, like just to pick his brain and stuff like that. I just love math, and just to kind of really just see what gets these guys ticking, man. Like that's really what I would love to understand. Not so much like, well, obviously I know I said time travel to cheat the system, but just to see how these guys tick, I think would really inspire me to even go harder.
That's great. Your favorite go-to meal?
Man, I'm still a McDonald's guy.
Okay.
I
What
have this
McDonald's?
thing with my wife. So I've been, you know, I've been to China I've been to China 3 times. I've been to Australia like 4 or 5 times. I've been to London. I've been all over.
Yeah.
From you know, and I have this thing that I have to eat at every McDonald's, at least one McDonald's all
That's
over the
cool.
world,
That's
right? Just to kind of see how vastly different or
Yeah.
exactly the same they are.
Yeah.
China's really good. Like China's some of the best Big Macs I've ever. Big Mac's my go-to, man. I probably eat a Big Mac like 4 times a week still.
Okay.
Kind of hard to break habits.
Yeah. Well, what inspires you?
At this point, the fear of letting down all these people that are looking at what we're doing.
Gotcha.
It keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
You know, so much of what I built is dependent on others and others believing in what I do. So much of what I do now, people tell me they use as motivation, and I can't shut it off.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to shut it off.
Yeah.
I don't think I've done enough. So that terrifies me, that, you know, I'm trying to scale, make more efficient, speed up, and I'm like racing this like clock.
Sure.
Right? You know, everybody tells me, oh, you got all the time in the world, but then you have moments like what happened to Kobe and you realize you really kind of
Right.
don't.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
I just hope that I continue to have the opportunity to create. And we're getting all sorts of wild opportunities. You know, it started with sneakers, but now I'm designing clothes and have collaborations coming out with American Eagle. And actually, as soon as I'm done here, I'm running over the project at Mandalay Bay because I have a collaboration with Nautica that we just announced. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Man, I tell you what, again, one of the most inspiring stories I've heard in a long time. And just, wow, what an inspiration and motivation you are, you know, where you came from, what you're doing now. And man, I just really get that feel that you want to help people and, you know, people make an impact more than just making money. It's making
It's
an
never
impact.
been about the money. Look, I'm okay, even if I didn't have any of what I have.
Yeah.
Right?
You've
It's
seen
about
the other
helping.
side. Yeah, you've seen the other side. Well, awesome, Jayce. If people want to contact you, if they want to follow you, where can they find you on social media?
My Instagram is 2J's Kicks, spelled out TWOJS Kicks, or at Urban_Necessities, and my YouTube is 2J's Kicks.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, man, it has been an honor and a privilege to chat with you today.
Oh, same, brother. I'm really glad you had time and we were able to make this happen, man. It means a lot.
My privilege. Hey, this is Paul Getter, the Internet Marketing Nerd. Like I say, a nerd today is your boss tomorrow. Don't pick on nerds.